Hello and welcome to the Two Dudes Movie Podcast, where we have more sticks than you can shake a Groot at. This week we're going to be doing a PostView for Wandavision episode 4, and by Jove, I've got it! What an episode.
I am both. I loved it, and at the same time, I am unbelievably frustrated.
Why?
Because you were flipping right. Like,
I was
every
so right on so many
turn,
things.
I was watching it going, oh, for God's sake, he's going to rub this in my face. He's got it right. And, like, are we going straight into spoilers?
We will in a minute, but what this podcast really has allowed me to do, just for everyone to hear, is that my clairvoyancy is now going to become public knowledge. So while I have been predicting things like this for centuries, years, this is now written or recorded proof that I'm right. And boy, have I got some predictions that I know are 100% correct.
I really
some
want
of them
to
are
get
just
one
vague.
right. It's so annoying because obviously
I'm so ready.
When we did Avengers, we were kind of like half and half. And you've just sort of like stepped up your game for this, and I need to get something right. I need to get something right because it's destroying my morals as like a writer. I just sit here and go, "What am I doing with my life? I can't do it, obviously."
So week one, I was watching other things. Like before, I watched a few videos of what people thought of it and stuff. So the past 2 weeks, so last week and this week, I haven't watched a single thing.
No.
I haven't read a single thing on what anyone else thinks. I have seen one spoiler, but that's irrelevant to everything I'm going to be talking about. And I'm just so... I'm so ready for this show.
Yeah.
Should we get into spoilers?
Yeah, let's go straight into it.
The first thing and the only thing, I think we could do a whole episode on the vision behind... To make an accidental pun.
It's a terrible pun. I can't believe you just did that.
I did not mean to do it. The vision of the opening scene where we see Monica unsnap, and for a second I just didn't know what was happening.
That was exactly it, yeah.
Why is she dusting? Is this her leaving the town? And then it dawns that everyone's dusting, and this is the first time, and I believe the only time
we've seen the undusting.
I think this is the only time we've seen someone undust.
Well, we saw the band appear in the...
but that was very shaky.
And it was just sort of like instantaneous, whereas this was... it took a moment for us to realise what was happening. To be honest, I thought at first, and this sounds really weird, but because it was Monica Rambeau, because it was all about Captain Marvel, and you heard all the Captain Marvel stuff like leading up to that, which was really quite interesting... I assumed for some reason it was the Skrull mind thing that we saw in Captain Marvel, because it had a very similar sort of like almost sandy kind of effect.
Yeah.
And obviously we know with the end of Far From Home, spoilers if you've not seen it, that Nick Fury's on that ship with the Skrulls. So Skrulls have something to do with S.W.O.R.D. and everything that's happening there. So it's really interesting to see. But yeah, I thought it was that. And then as soon as you realise what was happening around you, I remember just sat there, my head was in my hands, and I was like, oh my God, what are we witnessing here? This is the chaos that kind of ensued. It wasn't all like happy-go-lucky that we saw in Avengers. It was chaos, especially in hospitals. God, could you imagine what that must have been like? That would have been mental.
Yeah.
And then, so it went from that into...
S.W.O.R.D.,
which is cool.
So, one of the first things we discovered, that I think is again interesting, is S.W.O.R.D. is a fully fledged organisation.
Yeah.
This has receptionists, is how I'll describe it.
Mm-hmm.
They're ready. And what I think is most interesting, what I think is odd to a degree, is they were there before the snap.
Yeah. So this isn't an offshoot of S.H.I.E.L.D. like we've seen in the past.
This has risen at some point in the MCU, but has not been touched on. And I find it fascinating. And I think we will dive into this as we get into movies and more TV shows where S.W.O.R.D. has been and what S.W.O.R.D. has been doing. Yeah. Because Monica has a potentially throwaway line where she talks that they changed from creation to observation and research. And I do wonder, they use a lot of words, and I know she's supposed to be an astronaut, that's the vibe I got, but has she got powers?
That's the thing, obviously.
Was she created?
Yeah, when we saw Maria Rambeau's picture on the sword wall sort of thing, you see that she's got the designation of Photon, which is what Monica was, her superhero name is, Photon. And I was like,
Photon,
okay.
we know, to be fair, is her pilot call sign, Maria Rambeau's pilot call sign. So that's why it would have been on there. But we don't know if Monica has yet taken on that mantle.
Well, exactly. That's the thing, is there's obviously a mantle there that's just like with Carol Danvers and, Avenger, and obviously then passed on to the Avengers through Nick Fury. And I think that mantle, as you say, I don't think she's got powers yet. I don't know if it's even going to happen in this series because we're yet to see the effect that being in this world has on someone. Like, this episode literally ends as the last episode ended, just with a few more words.
Well, some very important words.
Yeah.
But we'll come back to those. Okay, so moving through the episode, we have Monica sent on a mission to help with the FBI finding a missing person. Mm-hmm. I find this interesting for two reasons. Why? Why is S.W.O.R.D. sending people to find missing persons, which means this person is of great importance?
Yeah. They knew from the start who it was.
Yeah. And... Oh, so you're saying it like you know who it is.
Well, I have... And I'll get into this a bit more later. I have a theory that the lead guy, I can't remember what his name is...
the head of...
The head of S.W.O.R.D. knows more than he's letting on. A lot.
He does seem very suspicious, but I can't tell if I'm just paranoid.
Because that's the thing. We've grown up to be quite cynical in this world, of just sort of like trying to find issues and things in movies. So I think that might be part of it. However, when he's being told about, well, when he's being shown Wandavision by Kat Dennings' character, he almost walks away as if, okay, I know exactly what's going on here. And it made that those two events together makes me go, okay, something is amiss here. I don't think S.W.O.R.D. in general are behind it, but I think he knows more. I don't even think they're behind anything, but I think he probably is aware of more than he lets on. I think the fact that Jimmy Woo was saying that, he was saying that the person who he's got in there is in witness protection. I have a feeling that is Wanda.
So, this is interesting. Now, they make no attempt to tell you who it is. At no point do they say who it is. If it was Wanda, which I think is potentially the obvious thing, why... So, A, why do they not just say it? Because it wouldn't be a mystery. Why leave it open-ended? 2, why do none of the friends and relatives or known associates remember them or know of them?
Well, I think maybe the answer to the why didn't they say is whether or not Jimmy Woo's, knew about it.
But he did. He said he was sent in to find... He knows who that missing person is. He must. Because how do you find a missing person? Oh, so here's who I think it is. I think I've got two options. One came to me more recently. The first idea was, well, that's Nightmare. That's who the person is. Nightmare found Wanda in this town on the run, and this thing has been created. But this episode also leads me away from that. But the other idea, which I think is potentially much more supported, how likely this is, I honestly don't know. But the only time in the MCU, or in this case, the wider MCU, where I can recall a situation where a villain has not been able to be tracked because no one remembers them, is Jessica Jones's The Purple Man.
Oh, that's a good point.
And I just went and looked at the lines again, and the way he talks about it, as in, but no one knew who this person was, is very Purple Man.
So who do you think it is? You don't think it's the Purple Man, do you?
I think it might be the Purple Man. Hence, we see a very villainous side to Wanda. What if it's not... She's been put in this world, she doesn't want to leave. What if it's she's being told to make this world because he can make her do anything, and then we all think it's Wanda, he's pulling the strings. The same could be for Nightmare. I just wanted to point out that missing person description just screams Purple Man to me, but I think how likely that is.
I think it's interesting to play with that. It's a villain. Obviously, the only time we've seen Jimmy Woo in previous MCU movies has been Ant-Man. So he obviously, they obviously get involved quite a lot with the heroes who are trying to escape. Obviously, we saw in another previous iteration of the MCU where Hawkeye is separated from sort of like civilization. He's in his own place, and maybe they obviously got involved there. And I think it's interesting to sort of go, okay, well, who else could it be? I don't know about the Purple Man because I think it'd be a bit of a weird choice of a villain on this scale.
Yeah, I don't know how likely it is.
I think my love for Wanda as a hero makes me want to believe that she's being manipulated, and I think in previous episodes I've sort of said that, you know, Nightmare could be making her believe that she doesn't want to leave by sort of giving her this ideal society. I don't know if Nightmare is involved because it's becoming less and less likely, and honestly I think Wanda has it in her to be this villainous. I wouldn't call her evil because at the end of the day she's just trying to live a life she never got to live, but I don't know. So it's interesting.
So this episode to me, when I watched it, I was certain. I knew exactly what was at play, what was happening, and a trailer that they very annoyingly put out in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Confirmed in my head what I thought, which is that Wanda is not being manipulated. Wanda is doing this entirely herself. And one of the key lines that we've thought of to being manipulation was Jimmy Woo saying, "Wanda, who's doing this to you?"
Yeah.
But now it's become clear that we don't know that they know someone's doing it. They're just thinking that maybe they are. Yeah. And what we've seen inside would greatly disagree with that. So my first initial theory was that Wanda is the villain. Wanda is not going to be happy at the end of this. She may split open the multiverse. And as I think I mentioned before on a podcast, or we just talked about, the idea that Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness will be a story of chasing Wanda through the multiverse, potentially with her as a villain as opposed to any hero. I think there is a significant chance that Wanda, this is it, she's a villain now. I think that would be excellent.
I think it would be a one hell of a turn for Marvel to introduce Phase 4 by making, that hero that everyone started getting on board with, we're going to make her a villain. I think it'd be a really interesting idea, and I like the vision that you have. Pardon the pun.
We say vision a lot, okay? Leave us alone.
My thoughts on it. I think she's going to break them all first. I do. I think something's going to happen, and I think it's going to be involved with Vision because of the fact that I think if Wanda is controlling it as we believe she is, she has made a dire mistake by making Vision exactly the same as she remembers him.
Yes.
Because he is, as he said previously, he's on the side of life, which means he's constantly wanting to make sure that life prevails, and Wanda is a threat to the lives of the people in that city, in that village, to say. And so
go on.
He's going to, as we've seen in the episode so far, he's going to constantly keep prying at that, what's actually going on here. And we see at the end of that episode, he's very unsure about that smile that he gives, and he's constantly questioning almost his own actions. And I think he's going to be the one to almost cause Wanda to break out of whatever she's doing, because she can't. It's not like, she kicks Monica out because Monica gets too close. she's never going to kick Vision out. And if she changes Vision, it's not going to be the same, and she's going to end up... It's like that whole, Icarus getting too close to the sun.
Yeah.
It's going to end badly for her, and I think that's going to cause her to snap, break the multiverse. But I believe... I don't know, I think I kind of want her to still be a good guy. And so I kind of believe that Multiverse of Madness is going to be her repenting, almost. She'll be stuck in it, but I think she'll be working alongside Doctor Strange to repair it, and obviously fight off whatever demons she's allowed in because of breaking the multiverse, like Nightmare, like, I don't know, Dormammu, people like that. Mephisto.
Okay. Yeah, so tell me, in this episode we see possibly one of the most horrifying moments in the Marvel Universe, the MCU ever, when we see Vision's...
Oh, God.
A flash of Vision's dead body.
That was terrifying.
Now, I don't know what anyone else thinks, but I have a pretty horrifying theory that links in with some stuff that we get told and we get reiterated to us this episode.
Go on.
So... Sword investigates and they discover that the characters, quote unquote, in this town are not characters but the people, the residents that did live there already.
Yeah.
We know they are real people. That's established a few times when they find them, but Jimmy Woo also makes a point. Darcy says she's with a new character and he goes, "You mean a person?" or something like that.
Yeah.
He makes it clear these are people, these are not just characters.
Yeah.
And then we see a flash of Vision's dead body. And there's been lots of theories around what Vision is, how he's back. Is it just Vision? Has she manifested a version of Vision? Yeah. Is it someone disguised as Vision? Is it this? Is it that? And the idea that I think is the most horrific thing is that is actually Vision's body.
Yeah.
That she is puppeteering around the place.
Yeah. Terrifying, isn't it?
In a terrifying way. And there's more I want to get to. So I don't know if you've got to add.
All I can really say is, obviously you have said this before, and when we were watching it, my girlfriend just went, "He was right," when she saw that. So yeah, that was annoying. Another one of those, for God's sake, you were right. But I honestly think, I agree with you. That was honestly, going to bed last night. I saw that image and it was.
I cannot unsee it.
Terrifying. It's so stupid because it's so small and it's just a It was
a flash.
A flash, but my God, I think everyone watching that reacted the same way as Wanda did. And it was just eerie and horrifying. I think. Just to quickly backtrack a little bit onto that, the idea of all these people are people. I first of all wanted to sort of say I loved the transition throughout, going from this person's this person, this person is this person, and they went cast as at one point. And I was like, all right, that's quite funny. And then the only character that I think is very prominent in the entire series that we don't actually hear the original name for is Agnes. But we see her up there. She is next to Wanda on there. So it means that they obviously know who this person is.
Yes.
I wonder, having literally just thought of this, is that going to be the person in witness protection?
Possibly. That would make sense.
Because if she is Agatha, it would make sense that she's like, well, you can't get rid of me, but just allow me to live a life that I want to live. Almost what Wanda wants. Yeah. So they just put her in witness protection instead.
It doesn't explain me not remembering. That's what I can't.
But unless
she made more forget.
Yeah, because she's trying to protect her own identity by just making people forget.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
So there's one more thing I want to touch on at the end of Vision, which does. So I think I made the point, and you disagreed that Vision would be dead.
At the end of it, yeah. I kind of hoped.
That's what you think.
I hoped he wouldn't be completely dead.
So, I think going off this Vision is a dead body theory. There's another bit of evidence we see, and we'll get to the hazmat suits and the beekeepers, which I was also right about just saying. We also see him crawl in with his rope. Now this, I think, is really a mystery putting together, and I'm very excited because they're just seeding little ideas, and I think they're all really important. When the rope goes through and comes back, it is changed.
It is, yeah.
When Monica leaves the portal, she is changed.
Yeah.
I don't think Wanda has any idea of the power that she has. And I think we're going to get to a point, I don't know how it's going to go. I think there's going to be a kickoff. They're going to try and end this. Wanda's like, no, I want Vision to be alive. I think Vision will leave and still be alive because he is in her head.
Yeah.
In the same way the rope changes, in the same way Monica comes back, at least in the costume, I think Vision will return to life, maybe as a human.
That'd be interesting.
But in some form once he leaves.
Yeah.
And I think it will be this really tense moment where she thinks he's going to die, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
Or maybe he returns as Grey Vision that we've seen in the comics.
Yeah, true. Just hopefully without the big dent in his head.
Yes. But I'm pretty confident that Vision will leave and we will see the effect that she has been able to bring life.
Yeah.
The twins are an interesting question because we know everyone's a character. Who are the twins? Possibly, like the comics, they're a manifestation. If you're looking at Nightmare, Mephisto, maybe they've been made for her.
Yeah. Well, I think if Vision, if you are right, and we've seen in previous episodes that you have been, annoyingly, I think if Vision is able to survive, the twins will be alive. Because the two would kind of cross over. If Vision doesn't, then the twins don't. I think it's really interesting that you sort of say that that Wanda doesn't understand her powers, because obviously we as people who obviously have read comics, who know the lore of things, we know the power that Wanda has, the reality, but bending power that she has. And it's actually quite interesting because when we started watching the episode, my girlfriend sort of asked me the same question, do they not know that she's able to do this? And I just kind of had to almost remind her that I was like, no one in universe knows that she can do this. No
one knows what she could do.
No, because she's made of an Infinity Stone, which means she has infinite power, just like Captain Marvel's like binary mode. This is that level of out of control, infinite power. What can she do? Yeah. We've, I think pretty much as Maria Hill said in Age of Ultron, she's weird. That's all that they knew of her. They didn't know, she can manipulate reality to do certain things.
They don't understand the limits of her powers.
And so I think it's very interesting to see like that moment at the end where she goes, it's Wanda. Wanda's doing this. That's where almost they've gone, oh my God, Wanda has this power. This isn't just something that's being done to her by an extraordinary out-of-dimensional being. This is a weapon that we've been observing, showing its true might.
Yeah. So, what I want to get onto now is the time. Pulled up my big boy pants. I put my little thinking cap on, and I think I might have, disagreeing with potentially loads of the stuff we've just said, cracked the whole thing.
Go on, then.
Thanks to good old Jimmy Woo.
Ooh, God, I love
Now, there's an element of the episodes, I can't remember if we've talked about it, but there is this thing with hexagons.
It is. Yeah, I saw that.
And Jimmy Woo writes it on the board, and this was the clincher for me. The fact that Jimmy Woo wrote it. So I'll explain. The hexagons have appeared in various places in the WandaVision episodes, including Monica's earrings. That's been the most obvious one, but they have been in a few other places as well. Now, this is good. Jimmy Woo writes on the board what's with the hexagons. It's in fact the top question.
And
I can't remember what all his questions are, but I'm pretty sure there's some other questions. There's other questions that I feel outrank hexagons.
Yeah.
And I noticed something just skipping through the episode that I had not noticed yesterday, and I don't know how many other people have noticed this. Sword, on the sword screen, the little table that they're looking at stuff on, is covered in everything is hexagons.
Yeah.
All the sword screens use hexagons.
Yeah.
So, if we think to why the hexagons might be in there, that tells us that the hexagons are also outside. And the biggest thing that I've seen and that I genuinely think is the case with the hexagons is AIM.
Ooh.
AIM, for those of you who don't know, is called Advanced Idea Mechanics. It's, to put it simply, it's a Hydra evil organization sort of thing, but more invested in tech and that sort of thing.
In the MCU, they were the people behind Iron Man 2.
Yeah, in Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3, the Extremists, Aldrich Killian, all of that was AIM.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Sword, interestingly, has come out of nowhere. Sword could have been built from
AIM.
What was left of AIM. We know they've got all this technology and robotics and stuff.
Oh, that's brilliant.
It gets better. So that would mean that AIM is in some way manipulating what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
How that works out, I don't know, but I'm pretty clear that if AIM is manipulating inside, AIM is running the outside. AIM is infiltrated, or in the Hydra way with S.H.I.E.L.D., they're somewhere still in Sword. And then I noticed something which I think just in my head has confirmed this.
Right.
The hazmat suits.
Yeah.
The hazmat suits are key to AIM's visual in the comics. They are giant yellow hazmat suits. Now, there is one other thing that they are called in the comics, and people colloquially refer to them as, which is the beekeeper suits.
Yeah.
So when the hazmat suit enters, it becomes a beekeeper suit. And as far as I'm concerned, this is confirmation that this is AIM.
James, you're a genius. That is amazing. I didn't even see that. What the hell? Oh, that is, and that will explain why the head guy knows more than he's letting on. Yeah, because he's probably actually just a puppet of whoever is leading. Could it be MODOK? Could it be, I don't know, like anyone like that?
Could it be? I don't know the limits, and that's what they haven't given. But I am convinced of the fact that it becomes a beekeeper suit, the hazmat suit. It looks visually the same, but why a beekeeper? You know what I mean? Or why not just the hazmat suit gone? Yeah, you know what I mean.
I thought, to be honest, I thought it was just that's what it kind of looks like. But then I suppose if it's AIM, they call them the beekeeper suits.
Yes.
James, you've cracked
it. The whatchamacallit, the hexagons, the fact that Jimmy Woo writes it up
means he's
on the board.
Yeah.
No, but why do they then appear? If it was just a clue to us that it was AIM, why are they outside?
Well, that's the thing.
If you know a character is going to write a question on a whiteboard that says, why are there hexagons? Why would you make anything to do with Sword hexagonal? Because obviously that's just...
To be honest...
It could be a red herring.
Yeah, I just took it as... the imprint of the town, that this field that Wanda was creating was hexagonal. And so the tables, and the visualization that they have on their tables in Sword was just showing the outline of the town of that barrier. I just took it as that. However, it is an interesting thing then to link it to the beekeepers, because I do think that's a really interesting sort of and it would make sense that Sword coming out of nowhere, as you said. I think they said that Maria built it from the ground up, but what was there before? What did she build upon? And I think actually if it was AIM and the foundations of AIM after it was sort of stripped back because of all the illegal doings, it would make sense that they built it from that. And I think
it's not to say... Oh, go on. It's not to say that Sword is necessarily built upon AIM, but it could be this new head, this new guy who's taken over from Maria, could have been involved in AIM, could be AIM, could be, as we saw in the Avengers video game, we saw a different version of MODOK. What if this man becomes MODOK?
That'd be mental. But I think to be honest, when you started mentioning hexagonal, I immediately went to what we've seen in the Guardians and Captain Marvel, and that these portals, and actually Endgame as well, and these portals between the worlds are hexagonal as well.
They are.
And so I just sort of went, maybe it's just almost like the fabric of the universe is just naturally hexagonal or something like that. Yeah. And so maybe that's why this then, the thing that she builds, this force field, or whatever you can call it, is also hexagonal because of the same reasons.
That does make sense.
I think there's definitely different lines there. I think if they were to go down the AIM idea and they were to go down the beekeeper suit idea, it would be incredible. Because I think, honestly, Iron Man 3, a lot of people had issues with because of how they almost wasted properties. Yeah. And I think AIM was 100% a wasted property. Because it's literally in most Avengers comics or TV shows, or as we've seen in the video, it is the big earthly threat. It's behind everything. It's like Hydra, but not, but modern day.
In the comics, especially, and in lots of the animated shows, that's one of my big things that I would change about the MCU, is that there's all these organizations that all exist and all create threats. So Hydra isn't just the left over from a Red Skull. Hydra has new agents. We've seen Baron Zemo, but there's lots more in the comics, in animated shows. I think the idea of the hexagon portal I hadn't thought of, and I think if it was just the shape of the town, that would be it. But the fact that it keeps presenting itself within the town,
there's a thing behind it, and I think
convinced.
Yeah, Marvel have always been very good at sowing little seeds that only, like, I didn't notice that question about hexagons. I didn't even notice all the hexagons appearing up, but now you've mentioned it, because this is the thing about Marvel, they'll appeal to really attentive watchers, and if you notice something like that, there's going to be a little seed of, ooh, what could this mean? And Marvel are amazing at doing that. And I think you've hit the nail on the head there, that if that theory is correct, boy, are we in for a good ride.
One of my very important things with mysteries, one of the things that I will defend the logic of a mystery to the grave if there is genuine and clear evidence that if you rewatch it, you can say, well, that's right there, that's right there.
Yeah. It needs to be right in front of you.
This show, and if this goes as good as this episode makes me think it is with solving it, I will be so impressed. Because yes, we're hypothesizing, yes, we're getting excited. I don't think it has to be what we're saying for it to be good, but if all these clues are genuine clues, then I will be so pleased and so impressed at the care, the time that they've put into making the show something that, and to take it further, the weekly release strategy, I would defend all of it. I would go,
it was worth it.
And the further we get into this, the more I feel like they know what they're doing. The more I feel like, why did we ever doubt Feige?
Yeah, this episode has made me honestly go, I think the weekly thing works. Maybe they should have released the first 3 to everyone at the same time, because it really is, that's the startup, and now it's almost like the how you ever structure a story, you have an inciting incident. The inciting incident was the end of episode 3, and so honestly, the build up needed to be in one thing together, and then we're kicking into it now.
Yes, I have done from last week, where I was a bit deflated, where I was a bit like, yes, these sitcoms are great, but I would like some MCU stuff. This is the fix I needed. I want this show now. I want it all. I want to watch it all now. But I'll tell you what, this podcast is very glad that they released it weekly.
Oh God,
it's given us something to talk about. But I think it's safe to say we are both very interested and will be following Wandavision very, very closely.
Oh hell yeah!
Thank you guys for watching. If you want to find us on podcasts, we are on Spotify, we are on Apple Podcasts, we are basically anywhere you'll find your podcasts. Otherwise, subscribe, like this video, and we'll see you all next time.
See you soon.